Chief Operating Officer, Embassy Group. Aditya Virwani is the Chief Operating Officer of Embassy Group, a leading real estate development company in India. Virwani oversees the company's operations, strategy and growth. With expertise in real estate, hospitality and business development, he truly has played a key role in Embassy Group's success. A hearty warm welcome to you, sir. Moving on, I'd now like to call upon our next speaker, Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty, Chairman, Narayana Hridyalaya Limited. Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty is the Chairman of Narayana Hridyalaya Limited, a renowned healthcare provider in India. A pioneering cardiac surgeon, Shetty has revolutionized healthcare in India by making quality medical care accessible and affordable. A hearty warm welcome to you, sir. I also now take the pleasure of welcoming our next speaker, Ranj Kimball, Trustee, Boston University. Ranj Kimball is a trustee of Boston University, one of the world's top research universities. Kimball has a strong background in business, education, and philanthropy. He has served in various boards and committees supporting initiatives in education, healthcare, and the arts. A hearty warm welcome to you. Moving forward, I now take the pleasure of welcoming Rao Venukutla, Chief Executive Officer, Bengaluru Airport City Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rao is the Chief Executive Officer of Bengaluru Airport City Limited, responsible for developing and operating the Kempegowda International Airport City. Mr. Rao has extensively experience in aviation, infrastructure development, and business management. A hearty warm welcome to you. I would also now take the pleasure of welcoming our next speaker, Vikrant Kshatriya, Managing Director, Novo Nordisk India Private Limited. Vikrant is the Managing Director of Novo Nordisk India Private Limited, a leading healthcare company. Vikrant has expertise in the pharmaceutical industry with a focus on diabetes care and management. He has worked extensively in the healthcare sector, driving business growth and innovation. A hearty warm welcome to you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I extend a warm welcome to our moderator, Anshul Gupta, Partner, Boston Consulting Group. Anshul Gupta is a partner at Boston Consulting Group, a leading global management consulting firm. Gupta has expertise in strategy, operations, and transformation across various industries. He is a sought-after speaker and moderator on business and leadership topics. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, let's have a big round of applause for our esteemed panel on stage. And with that, I would like to leave it to the moderator to take the discussion forward.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and warm welcome to all our 5 panelists, Mr. Rao, Raj, Aditya, Dr. Devi, and Vikrant. In fact, Dr. Devi and Raj are also on the advisory board of KWIN City, the Knowledge, Wellbeing, Innovation City. We will talk more about that in the discussion. So I just wanted to set the context on the key topics we will be discussing today, right? So if we look at the innovation clusters globally, they play a critical role in transforming the economies, right, by ensuring cutting-edge research, bringing in the global talent, and fostering industry-academia partnership. There are many successful examples of global innovation clusters. There is Mars Bio in Boston, right, the Boston Innovation Cluster. Then we have Kobe Medicon Cluster in Japan. There is Biopolis in Singapore. There is Medicon Valley in Scandinavia, right? And all of them have played a transformational role in driving cutting-edge research. But if we look at India, there is no concrete successful innovation club, innovation cluster, right? Bangalore is often regarded as the innovation capital of India, but here also the innovation is happening in a distributed manner, right? Bangalore is a city of about 1.4 crore people, right? Spread over about 800 square kilometers. So a dedicated, focused innovation cluster is what Karnataka intends to drive in the form of KWIN City, the Knowledge, Wellbeing, Innovation City. This city is being planned about 50 kilometers from the airport as well as from the city center towards the northwest side, which is between Dabaspet and Dodballapur. This is being developed over 2,000 acres in phase 1, extendable to about 5,000 acres. And the idea is the city The KWIN city will have global universities, it will have global healthcare facilities, R&D centers, startups, all working together towards the agenda of innovation and research. So in this context, we will discuss today on what could be the roadmap or key elements of the strategy to set up a successful KWIN city, which will then become the blueprint for next 10 innovation clusters in India. So we will have our discussion in 3 subtopics, starting with subtopic 1, which is witnessing from vision to reality. What are the foundational blocks or building blocks of an innovation cluster? So my first question to you is towards Raj. So Raj, you have been the driving force of Boston Bio Innovation Cluster since about 20 years. What are the key building blocks which KWIN City needs to have in place if it were to transform into a global innovation city?
Anshul, that's a great kickoff question. And one temptation is to go into fantastic theories of innovation. But this is not fantastic theories of innovation. This is practical lessons for KWIN City. And I've not only done it in Boston, when I was in Silicon Valley, I was twice CEO of Silicon Valley startups. So you might think, what are the lessons from Silicon Valley and Boston for KWIN? I think there are a few, but I want to be more boring. In fact, just to help my panelists out, I'm going to give the most boring answer of the afternoon, so they'll all be really exciting. And I'm going to say part of it is just good old-fashioned, for lack of a better phrase, salesmanship. One of the things we learned in Boston when we were trying to grow our pharma cluster, we had 0 pharma labs 20 years ago, was just get out and talk to them and explain to them what we were doing, why they should not hate Boston and Massachusetts anymore, why they should put labs here. When we were trying to develop the seaport, Boston Seaport, like many, was an abandoned area. It was a simple proposition by the mayor and the state. You can get better land, cheaper, with faster permitting and better infrastructure. And so the first thing I would say to the minister, to the team at Karnataka, to people looking at KWIN on, talk to the businesses already here in Bangalore. We found in Massachusetts over 95% of the tech jobs that we grew, and we grew really well, were from companies already in Boston and Cambridge. Your best customers right there. So in part this overlaps with what you might talk about, but I would talk to the major developers with a simple proposition. KWIN's coming, better land, much better infrastructure, faster permitting. I talk to every large company here, the 300 or 500 that are growing, get the message out. When you look to expand, there's a better option coming. That's the key, because Bangalore is so crowded, it's such a vital technology hub already. If you were starting at a low end, like some cities are, I'd have a very different answer. But right now, build on your strengths, and I'll say most boringly, the number one strength is the developers, the companies already here. And then I'll conclude with one final thing. Startups. I've been involved in developing a number of innovation centers next to big research universities. Major corporates love to be near startups. Relative to some of the infrastructure costs or a wet lab cost, space for startups is much, much cheaper per square meter. So I would encourage early on, get good low-cost space for startups in KWIN, get the word out to Bangalore's enormous startup community, make sure you've got nice coffee and some place where they get beers after work, make it a real community, but get startups in there. They create a positive externality. So.
Got it. Thanks, Raj. So quick check, are you able to hear us loud and clear? Okay, great. So Raj, one of the key elements you touched about was getting people to live there together, right? And that brings me to the next point to Aditya on livability, right? Since you are on a mission to create India's most aspiring livable spaces, right? What elements of livability does the KWIN city needs to adopt in order to ensure that it adopts a wellness first and livability first approach?
Okay, so I'm actually going to pick up from your point because it's really relevant that at Embassy, 83% of our leasing is actually the same customers coming back to us and growing again. So yes, you have new companies that are entering India, and these are seeds that are being planted for the future, but a lot of it is the JP Morgans and the Nvidias and the Novo Nordisk who are in India, who are continuously growing, and these are massive multi-billion-dollar companies continuing to growing. And what is that one trend that we see in India besides the talent, which is a big one, is the availability of good space. And the reason why companies like Vikrant are in parks like Embassy Manyata, Embassy Tech Village, is because of this livability factor. It's because we're able to create this total ecosystem, total business ecosystem, where you have amazing pedestrian access, amazing landscape where people can walk through the campus without feeling the heat. It goes into design, amazing amenities of sports, recreational, hotels, restaurants. You know, as the consumer is increasing, people are spending money, and the choice of F&B is also something these tenants want. So all of that put together comes into this livability mini city. Now, Embassy Manyata is, you know, for us, it's our biggest park, 130 acres. It's a mini city, but KWIN City is, you know, mega, and you have a blank canvas to basically do all of this at a large scale. And the success is going to be exactly that, is having good public access, proximity, pedestrian walkways that are built for the future, not built for today, but the ambitions are big, so you want to build this generously. Even same things with the road. All the infra that goes into it, I think, has to be future first and not today. So all of those, the choice of mixed use and the way you do it, I would actually take a page out of Mr. Rao's beautiful airport. I think they've done a fantastic job, because you can't just, the ambitions of doing a knowledge and R&D and wellness and, you know, all of this, but you can't just do it like that. You have to build the people first, bring people there. Retail is a big part of that. Then start building these grade A offices and then start filling it up. So the whole strategy on that, I think you got the best advisor in BCG. I know you guys have an amazing architect. We're using him as well, Alok Shetty, on an 80-acre residential that we're doing in Embassy. So I think it's in good hands, but if you're able to focus on all of these things, you will attract white collar to a blue collar location.
Thanks, Aditya. And you spoke about our beautiful airport, so which, you know, then brings me to Mr. Rao. So our Bangalore airport crossed 40 million passengers, right? And the Terminal 2 has been awarded as the world's best terminal, right? So already a series of accolades. Yesterday, you know, I was listening to the speech. So our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister spoke very passionately about Bangalore Airport. So, Mr. Rao, Bangalore Airport is very critical for success of KWIN City in order to provide global connectivity. So what future developments for the airport and airport city you have in mind, and what you're planning, which will then help KWIN City?
Thank you. The first and foremost thing, okay, you are absolutely right. Airports are the economic engines of this great country, India. So our campus, okay, currently contributes 5.2% of the state's gross value add. Entire Karnataka's gross value add, 5.2% we contribute. In 2022, we completed T2 and awards and all. He talked about it. We are not resting now, actually. We just initiated a $2 billion capex program now. What does it include, $2 billion program? T2 phase 2. What you see, T2 is only half of it. 2.5 million square feet is built. 2.5 million square feet design is going on now. Okay, currently design is going on. We'll be starting construction end of the year. That plus T1 refurbishment. T1 was built long time back. Entire baggage handling system and all. We want to bring it to current levels. So these two initiations with the T2 expansion and T1 refurbishment, we can take capacity to 80 million passengers. This financial year, by end of March, FY25, we'll be concluding 42 million passengers. Okay, we are growing at 13% CAGR. It is running too fast. So 80 million passenger capacity we are planning with 2 million. And in addition to the T3 eventually, okay, after this T2 is over, we'll be adding additional 35. So our capacity eventually will be 115 million passengers. That's when, okay, Karnataka government is talking about second airport and all, okay, beyond that, okay. So he is absolutely right, Anshul, okay. KWIN City's success depends on us, okay, depends on airport. Currently, we are connected to 75 domestic destinations and 30 international destinations. By all these interventions, what does that mean? Currently, our international traffic is 15%. Our target is to make this as hub, South India hub for international. So that means current 15% traffic, we want to take it to 20 to 25%. That's a lot. Number looks like 5 to 10%. It includes a lot of airline marketing and belief on Karnataka and all. So that means if we are connected to many cities in the US especially, currently we are connected to San Francisco, soon to Seattle, New York we are working on it. Okay, all these cities are connected, we become hub, and our ambition, gateway to South India. Gateway to South India, by being gateway to South India, Queen City can ride on it. This is about aviation side of it. Airport city, massive city we are building, 4.5 crore square feet, 45 million square feet we are building it. Okay, so that means, which is a small mirror image of Twin City we are building already here, okay. 5,200 hotel keys, okay, we'll be building. 370 keys Taj Hotel we own, 775 keys we are building currently, and many of the things actually Twin City can ride on it. Initially, as Rance rightly said, go low on capex and all, startups and all, but Aditya mentioned about social infrastructure. Somebody has to invest on it. In the initial phases, first 5 years, actually, okay, Queen City can ride on the success of our airport and airport city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. So my next question is to Dr. Devi Shetty. See, India is right now a global leader when it comes to medical tourism, right? We have been seeing patients coming all over from the world, from Middle East, Europe, Southeast Asia, etc. And Narayan Hrudayalaya is a leader when it comes to heart surgeries. So I wanted to understand from you that what will it take for Queen City to position itself as a medical tourism and healthcare hub, given healthcare and life sciences is a core element at Queen City?
Thanks. Healthcare is one industry which is extremely sensitive to numbers. As I do more heart operations, I get better at it. As I do more operations, my cost of operation goes down, efficiency goes up. 25 years ago, when we decided to build a health city in Bangalore, with 3,000 beds, people thought we are crazy. And today we have in one campus, 4 hospitals with thousands of beds. Of course, about 16% of the heart surgery done in India is done by us. So it's because we are the most affordable healthcare providers. That's the reason, not because we are anything great. So essentially, when you have a large size, everything gets better. Like electronic medical records, which is 80% of the hospitals across the world do not have electronic medical records. And today everybody is talking about the AI and all these fancy tools. But if you don't have the electronic medical records, no AI will work. And it costed us over 600 crore rupees to build the electronic medical records. And a 200-bed hospital can never dream of spending that kind of money. So essentially, we will see India of the future will be dramatically different than what India is today, because I'm sure you would have heard about the last Independence Day speech. Our Honorable Prime Minister said, we will add 75,000 medical seats, not medical, additional medical seats above 110,000 seats we already have. How many countries in the world has the audacity to say that we will add 75,000 medical seats in 5 years? This is the only country. So essentially, what will happen is India will become the first country in the world to dissociate healthcare from wealth. India will prove to the world that the wealth of the nation or the wealth of the family has nothing to do with the quality of healthcare citizens will enjoy. For that, we need beds. We need 1 million more doctors, 2 million more nurses, 3 million more beds. So if we are planning anything big in Queen City, and Queen City can afford to have 3,000, 5,000 beds, the magic will happen.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Shetty. With the increase in doctors, nurses, and beds, there will be the global pharmaceutical and life sciences industry will very much be required to play a critical role in Queen City, right? And Vikrant, you leading the Novo Nordisk India, right, which is a pioneer in innovative solutions for chronic diseases. such as diabetes, etc., right? So if the global top pharma companies need to come and set up their cutting-edge R&D facilities in KWIN city, which can then provide affordable, innovative solutions to the additional beds and hospitals being set up, what will it take to achieve that?
Thank you very much, and I think it's quite a loaded question, and I will try to come out with an answer. But let me start with what Ranj said. You know, people have to start living. And I started thinking that it's not only people who migrate for economy, it's also the companies which also migrate for better reasons. And Bangalore, if you think that it is a GCC hub, let me take you back 20 years ago when I was Bangalore. You know, I came first and we had a company of 20 people and we hired the first employee for our shared services. That was the first employee 20 years. Cut to 20 years, today we have got 5,000 employees in Novo Nordisk alone working in life sciences. And they are doctors, they are engineers, they are a statistician working in cutting-edge research, not only research, but also finance, logistics, and many other specialties. And it's not only Novo Nordisk. At that point of a time, there was no company, something like Boston. Now there is a Glaxo, there is Lilly, there is Merck, there is Astra, there is Regeneron, there is Teva, there is Takeda, and many more. 45,000 employees have come in from virtually nowhere. Cut to this twin city. I think what has worked in Bangalore, you require a sustainability and the reliability in terms of infrastructure, in terms of connectivity, in terms of the resources. I think what you require, livable space, what Aditya said, like we are housed in Manyata Tech Park, that was not there 20 years back. But as it grew, now there are many parks like Manyata Tech Park. Two of them actually embassy themselves has got. You require livable space. You require a very coherent, you can say interconnected infrastructure or integrated infrastructure where airport connectivity is there, which already exists. You require education system. Why the GCC worked? Because there was a stream of these graduates coming out across Karnataka. And I was amazed that 120 engineering colleges are just there in Bangalore. 40 pharmacy colleges are just there in Bangalore. And if we have got education infrastructure where graduates come with this cutting edge science and knowledge, and we also give back in terms of training them, I think they provide the resources. We also require the sustainability and reliability of course, the tax regimes, of some of the rebates, but that's not alone. I have seen that most of the production capabilities, most of the research capabilities, they don't go to the cheapest places. If you see, they are actually at the costliest places in the world. What we require are the enablers to make it happen. And I think overall archive principle, if I see in the biotechnology space, we have the recent policy from the government of India, BioE3 or BioE4. If we can integrate the national policy of BioE3 and BioE4 to this KWIN city and bring the integrated development, I think a dream of starting it, living it can be realized. And lastly, I would say to dream and to design is a little easier, and then to live by it over the years, to scale it up is another part of it. And I hope that with this imagination, we go to that path.
Just going to ask, Vikrant, I've got a question for you, but Dr. Shetty gave us a really powerful vision, scarily large numbers, by the way, but of beds and healthcare in KWIN City. Not just for Novo, but for big pharmaceutical companies. Would you and your peers tend to view KWIN as a place to expand current operations, office operations, stage 3 trials? Or would you view KWIN as a place to maybe do lab basic research? In other words, do you think of it as an office space, lab and research cluster near the hospitals? How would big pharmaceuticals think of KWIN City?
I get a little bit of your question on, you are talking about for the research part of it, right? If I'm right, okay. Now, research is a complex part of the entire pharmaceutical industry. In fact, it can shape the organization. innovation is at the center stage. And I'm sure that most of you have heard about Jai Vigyan and Jai Anusandhan. So that means science, but with science, the research has become very paramount importance, and Prime Minister Modi has talked about it. Now, when you want to do the research, you require complex ecosystem, and it is not just one-day job, let me tell you. It's a very high evolving science. And for that, at least what I can think of Novo is that we are at a leading edge, or we are in the forefront when it comes to research and development. We are probably leading by 2 times in our phase 3 clinical trial across India. We have got 40 clinical trials running across India with 200, research and development people who are working it. Now, to take it from that research and development to the basic science, I think you require the biostatistician, you require the bioinformatics guy, you require the biomechanics, you require the bioengineers, you require the microbiology science, and that entire ecosystem, I can only resonate with this Scandinavia, system, where it is in the Skane region, Denmark and Sweden. It is being fed by 6 universities, 30 companies coming together, and lot of commitment from the government and also private body. So I know that I have not given an answer, because I don't think so it is an answer which can be given like this, but I think somewhere I dream that Novo Nordisk can start their basic research, given that we are very large in phase 3 trials.
Great.
And of course, if hospitals like what Dr. Shetty has mentioned, they give an ecosystem for further, enhancing it.
Great. Thanks, Vikrant. That's really helpful. So that actually, makes a segue to the second topic, which is, driving innovation and research and education at KWIN City. So knowledge is one of the core pillars of KWIN City, where the vision is to bring best of global universities to Bangalore, right? The Indian students going outside to US, UK, Europe, Australia for higher studies continues to be a challenge for India in terms of brain drain. Now with the recent change in regulations, the global universities can come and set up their centers in India. And hence, that's where, Raj, since you are the trustee of Boston University, I wanted to understand that what will it take for global universities, top 200 universities, to come and set up their center in KWIN City? What should government be doing, and how the industry-academia collaboration be promoted?
Thanks. Let me start. I'm just going to ask the audience a question so I can kind of frame my answer. How many people, raise your hand and raise it all the way up if the answer is yes. How many people have heard of an innovation district called Kendall Square? Not many. So Kendall Square is in Boston. It's next to MIT. It is, by the way, the most innovative single square mile on the planet Earth. There's more innovation there in its square mile than any square mile in Silicon Valley or anywhere else. So I'm going to tell you a little story if I can, because it'll help this. That was where we were putting biotech and pharma when I was a government official 20 years ago, when I was about 12. In 2011, the president of MIT, Susan Hockfield, and I co-chaired the Kendall Square strategy. So it is the world's densest innovation cluster next to MIT, 2 miles from Harvard. And we had a group of other CEOs, about 6 of us, that drove it. We got a BCG did the work. And we all thought starting out the answer was going to be more labs, more startups, bring in, robotics. As we talked to the people that worked in the labs, as we talked to the people that worked at MIT, as we talked to the venture capitalists, as we talked to the biotech firms, as we talked to the executives, particularly the R&D people of the big pharma companies, what they said is one word: boring. But what came through was they loved working there, they loved the community, but it was a boring place to be. There was only one decent restaurant, legal seafood. You could not buy a fresh chicken breast or broccoli there. You couldn't get your dry cleaning done. One woman said, I can't start or end my day in Kendall Square. What she meant was, I can work there, I can have a fantastic professional relationship, I can meet competitors as friends, but I can't get much done there. So out of that strategy came a recommendation, not about labs, increase by 4-fold residential units in Kendall Square. Go from 5,000 to 20,000. because as you know well, residential gives you the support for the retail, for the F&B, right? Food and beverage retail. We did that, and by focusing on that live, work, play aspect of an innovation district, we doubled life science employment in about 7 years. So weirdly, how do you grow biotech jobs? Apartments and inexpensive restaurants. So when you ask Anshul and we talk, these themes come across, all four of us, don't make the mistake we did because we were dealing with an old 100-year-old district. You've got Queen City and Greenfield. Start from the beginning with residential plus startups plus big companies plus food and beverage. Make it a live, work, play to start, because now I'm getting the answer. I'm giving you the answer you asked for on education. This isn't going to be a remote campus with leaves and walls and trees and grass all by itself. Whatever academic institutions go there want to be literally enmeshed side by side with hospitals, with food and beverage where their students can go, with startups where maybe when they graduate they work, or they can intern with the startup, with big corporates that might hire them. So it's that kind of interconnectivity side by side that I think is going to be key to bring in education institutions, because then you've got this incredible sweet spot. World-class infrastructure, nonstop flights to Boston, not yet, but they're coming. One of the most modern, maybe the most modern innovation city in the world. Great technology, great healthcare, and your university can put some of your unit here, and here's your place to be if you're for a university. You now are connected to the largest country in the world, to one of the most technically advanced countries in the world, in the best place where your faculty and students will love it. So that's my thought. I'm excited by Queen City, so.
Great. So on that, I have actually a follow-up question to Aditya, right? So Raj spoke about the social infrastructure, right? Different elements of social infrastructure like, hotels, shopping complex, residential societies, schools, right? All of that are key elements for setting up the Queen City. So we wanted to understand from you that how should government be thinking about the right asset class mix for social infrastructure? How should the right phasing be, because we don't want to be creating dead assets? And how the government should be thinking about connectivity of Queen City from the core Bangalore city?
Yeah. So actually my friend Ranch answered a lot of what I would have answered to that, but it really comes down to, it comes down to people, right? You're trying to attract the best talent into this place, which, let's be honest, it's in the suburbs. It's a blue-collar place today. We're now trying to create this as a city center. You're trying to attract the best talent to the best companies, and these are the ambitions. And how do you do that without housing? So for me, I know this comes under industries, and I know KIDB has done a fantastic job and have now come up with this walk-to-work scheme, but still, you can only do 20% housing in these cities. And I think that is a big problem, because how do you get people here? How do they live here and commute to work? And going back to the whole livability factor, I mean, if you think of office space, maybe 100 square feet for a person on average, maybe that's a little bit more generous today, but a house, you need 5 times that per person at least. So in my view, you need so much more housing in Queen City. You need that also first, so you have to be strategic on how you phase it. That's also going to help cash flow come in, help the government build the city, because it's going to be financially viable if developers, or even if the government is able to build and sell these houses. If you think about India and you think about how many millions of people are moving into cities every year, our best ever year, we built 700,000 houses, across from affordable all the way to luxury. We have a massive housing shortage, actually. We have to build millions of houses. And these are opportunities where we have land issues in this country, unlike China and the US, where you can easily buy large pieces of land. Here it's not so easy. If the government's able to do that through policy, through fair reforms that compensates landowners and acquires a city like this and offers a decent chunk towards residential, that would be my suggestion of how you start, how you bring people there, make it affordable for them as well, and then you start slowly adding on the social infrastructure of F&B and restaurants and grocery stores, and those are what people need to live. And then you get into the housing, and you don't even have to put effort. Once you have people and once you have talent, you will have Vikrant coming there to take office space, and you will have other top companies coming there for office space because the talent is there. That's why he's in Manyata, really, is because of that. So for me, it's contrary to what people think. It's actually do a little bit less office R&D and do more residential. It'll complement it.
Great. Thanks, Aditya. So around 2 to 3 lakh people are going to stay in KWIN city when the phase 1 of 2,000 acres is complete. And of course, that requires, thousands and lakhs of houses. And that also requires very good quality healthcare infrastructure, right? And we are not talking about the conventional healthcare infrastructure, but the futuristic technology-enabled healthcare infrastructure. So that's where, Dr. Devi Shetty, what would be your thoughts on how technology can be leveraged to create a cutting-edge healthcare infrastructure at KWIN city?
Bangalore is an ideal place for building anything to do with the innovation, because we produce some of the best engineers of all types. See, if you ask people which is the largest industry in the world, most of them will say software is big or automobile is big. They are nothing. They are not more than $5 trillion. Healthcare, global healthcare and wellness industry is the largest industry in the world, much bigger than food industry. It's about $14 trillion. And this industry runs only by offering healthcare with interaction between the man, woman and the machine. And today these machines are all produced in US or Europe, some now in Japan and China. We are anywhere close to those medical equipments, and they are a huge expense for delivering healthcare. Because unlike other industry, these are regulated industries. You can't simply build a CT scan and say that, okay, people will buy it. No, you have to go to regulation. So we need some place in India, we have fantastic hospitals, but we really don't have a single large company which has a global recognition for producing medical equipment. So there is a huge requirement, because largest buyers of medical equipment in the future is going to be India, because China has already bought enough equipments. Of course, it requires upgrading, and they are now becoming very efficient in making their own equipments. But India is lagging very much behind this. So this is very important that KWIN city invests on the infrastructure for creating medical equipments which can interact with human body. And for any of these things to happen, you need large number of engineers, large number of hospital beds and regulatory framework, which we have. So there is no doubt that there is a need for large-scale investment on medical equipments, because this is going to be the largest market for them. Thanks.
So basically, India needs to reduce the dependence on imports of medical devices and medical equipment, and that is what one of the focus areas of KWIN city, to develop that kind of infrastructure and technology for indigenous production of medical devices and equipment. Agreed. And that also requires focus on specific areas, not just medical devices equipment, but the broader pharmaceutical and life sciences industry. So that's where, Vikrant, what are your thoughts on, should KWIN city be focusing on some specific areas or topics, or should cover the width of the life sciences and pharma space?
I mean, if we spread too much, it would be very thin, to be honest, and we need to focus somewhere. And to the extent of being biased, I can actually say that, what Infotech did in 1900 and 2000 to India and also to Bangalore, probably biotech will do in the times to come. We are already a $100 billion economy, and then we are gearing up for 300 billion. Now, in that 300 billion, 3.5% to the GDP, and probably going to double it up in terms of even percentage. Now, whether it will be Bangalore or Karnataka, or whether it will be some other states, because it's not only alone us, but all the states are fighting, and forget India. Actually, talk to Qatar, they would also say they would like to be the biotech hub. Who doesn't want to be a biotech hub? But I would say that developing an ecosystem and focusing on this biotech, and the new policy, I think that's the key. And that can propel the bioinformatics, bioagri, bioindustrial, biopharma, biostatistics. And I think the single word is driven by the bio or biotech, but then it encompasses the 360-degree and could be one of the ways to really increase the employment. Create employment is extremely important when you create the cities, and can also make it a competitive advantage against many other countries. So I would say the biotech is going to be the order of the day, but I can also be wrong because I come from the biotech organization.
Thanks, Vikrant. So my next question is to Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, you have been part of building many innovation clusters. You're also building the Bangalore airport city. So what are some of the best practices or learnings that KWIN City can leverage as it starts the journey?
Right, okay, thank you. So first I go to the global thing, then I come back to airport city. Among the many clusters across the world I worked, okay, Singapore Science Park is very close to my heart, okay. So what are the learnings? What is that something we can transplant into KWIN City? So Singapore Science Park success actually comes back to one single most important thing. Center of gravity or center of action is National University of Singapore, okay? That was conceived long time back. Singapore Science Park just evolved around that. National University of Singapore today is in top 10 in the world. First, National University of Singapore was not in that rank. It was Prime Minister's mission to take it to that level. Prime Minister was personally monitoring that, okay, to take it to global ranking. And it has always been a research-centric university. With that success, okay, Singapore went into international collaborations. NUS Duke Medical University, American collaboration. Then with these two things, can you succeed as an ecosystem? Answer is no. Okay, so what did Singapore do? It A-star. A-star is equivalent to Scripps Research Institute of San Diego, while Boston is one big cluster for bio and San Diego is mega cluster. Scripps is very close to my heart because that's the only place where 2 times Nobel laureate Professor Sharpless works there. So Singapore modeled that, okay, in line with that, and okay, invented A-star, okay. That's big success, okay. All these models actually KWIN City can do it. With all these things what Aditya mentioned, okay, can the system evolve? No, we need a vibrant culture and all. After all, cities are built for people. Cities are not machines. So there is something called Holland Village and South Buona Vista nearby in Singapore, where public housing development board, very cheap, highly subsidized by government. In fact, that is the Ivy League case study, Singapore's HDB case study, you know. That one to massive expenses, $30 million, $40 million, bungalow houses in between. So all classes of housing is there. And vibrant Holland Village, whatever Aditya talked about it, okay, pubs, nightclubs, all those things are all there, okay. That is also taken care of, okay. This is something very interesting. Then finally startups. Singapore has got Block 71, very successful model. Okay, Block 71 is again part of that cluster, Block 71. Okay, whatever Singapore Science Park success is because of Block 17. Idea is conceived there, then it goes to incubated, then after that accelerators kick in, of course venture capitalist funds work nearby. If somebody doesn't know much management about it, there is INSEAD campus nearby, they can enroll for the courses. Can you see that each one, how it impacting others? This is what exactly KWIN City wants, so needs actually. So Bengaluru, we have got startups here and there, Koramangala. Why, like Block 71 Singapore has got, why can't we have? I just want to try, I got this idea, this Kempagoda Adda, just for argument's sake. We call it Kempagoda Adda, where the young boy sitting here. a 10th class student, intermediate student. It is not for meant for BTechs and all, MTechs and all these people. Even a 10th class kid, 9th class kid can come here. Now, great programs in the US and all done by these high school kids. That's one thing actually Queen City should start that. Feeder schools. Singapore got NUS High School. NUS High School rock star, okay? Olympiad gold medals and all, they get it. Stanford has got feeder school, something called okay, Palo Alto High School. And Harvard got feeder school, okay? What is that? Phillips Exeter School. That's yeah, I remember that. Phillips Exeter School, something like that. While we talk about universities, where did the feeder schools come from? We need to have feeder schools also. With all these things, can the city be successful? No. Art and culture. India's biggest strength is art and culture. Where other global cities lose, where India can do very well is, okay? There's nothing like our Dasara, Namma Dasara, the way if we can promote it. I'm really impressed the way some okay, cultural things happening around that. That should be integral of that. These are some of the learnings, okay? Actually, we can transplant into Queen City. Then Airport City. Airport City, what we have done it before, okay, I moved from Singapore to this place to take up this job in 2019, January, 6 years journey, okay? What we have done, okay, what we don't have, first of all, okay, water, I realized it, okay? So we went very aggressively on water conservation. When Bangalore quite often talks about water starving and all, our campus is 2.36 water positive. We didn't do any advanced artificial intelligence or anything. We just looked after nature very well. Straight no for bore wells. No bore wells around, not even 1 ml of water we allow okay, to dig it from ground. Then urban development guidelines. United Nations has got 17 sustainability development goals. From that we derived our own Bible, Quran, Gita, okay? That is non-negotiable, any development got to follow that urban development guidelines. That is part and parcel of our agreements. If you comply with that, sustainability is maintained. Green and parks, whenever I take pictures in our campus, I send to my friends, first their reaction, which part of US city is, okay? Okay, that's how we maintained it. All this is, okay, nothing, okay, all our own technicians, our own workers, our own engineers did it. But some have got international things. These actually can be transplanted. Last part of it is, okay, Aditya and okay, a gentleman has mentioned about it, okay, we shouldn't be spending too much in the initial stages on the capex. Also, Queen City should ride on Airport City. Lot of things, convention center we are building. Aditya is building arena with us. India's first grand arena, music arena, we are building it. And then hotels we are building, okay. All are readily available infrastructure, okay. Queen City can ride on this, take Bengaluru Airport City as a launch pad or a springboard. So both can coexist, but initial stages, okay, Queen City can ride on Bengaluru Airport City, followed by mega scale, okay, Queen City they can develop, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, for that. Very helpful. So with this, we come to the conclusion of the panel discussion. I just would like to quickly summarize the key stakeholders who need to come together for development of Queen City. Universities, hospitals or healthcare facilities, research centers, corporates, startups, real estate developers, financial institutions, and government. All these stakeholders need to come together, and the core building blocks of Queen City would be first, availability of a good quality social infrastructure, which is hotels, housing, office space, recreation facilities, entertainment facilities, excellent connectivity from the airport and city, not only via road but through public transport like metro rail or suburban rail. The second one is synergy between all these stakeholders which I spoke about. Third is well-planned urban environment. Fourth is then bringing in the anchor global players across each of these stakeholders. And finally, bringing in the right talent to make all of this happen. So with this, we would conclude the panel discussion. Thank you to all panelists for such an engaging and insightful discussion. Thank you. We can take few questions from the audience.
Yeah, thank you everyone for fantastic panel discussion, a lot of insights. I feel really good to see how we are focusing on innovation. Recently, I just learned that it took 52 years for India to build truly indigenous Indian car made by Indian engineers. All the parts procured in India, like Tata Indica took, they did it in 90s. So I was wondering, when you look at all the products that we are buying, whether it is mobile, TV, cars, we're all buying all the global brands. I was wondering how we can do more innovation in India where Indian products are sold across the world. Of course, Twin City can be a great enabler there. So, and when I start looking at universities, students are just coming out, finishing their exams and just coming out with the degree. But we don't have more research facilities where true innovation happens. So I would just love to listen from, especially I am from healthcare background, so I would love to listen from Vikrant or Shetty sir about how we can build more innovation in bringing novel drugs to Indian market or for global.
I think we all are waiting for innovation to come from India because that can really change the face of India. We are the pharmacy of the world, arguably, fourth largest in terms of the generics, but we would like to be the researcher of the world and would like to have an innovation coming out of our laboratories. To convert science into solution, and solution which can be commercialized and can be scalable, I think the patent rate at which we have started filing, it has multiplied a lot. We are talking about, India is one of the fastest growing. We are nowhere in comparison to China. In fact, we are 1/10 of China, but we are scaling very, very fast. So that's a starting point for innovation. But I think our appetite is also increasing. There is, you can say, incentive program, which has PLI scheme, which has also come in pharmaceutical research from Government of India. That is also very conducive. And I think the cities like KWIN cities, they can become the real breeding ground for incubating research. So I would envisage that a true innovation, which is really breakthrough, could come out, whether it is in medtech or whether it is in actually pharmaceutical. I hope that in next 5 years, it probably can come out of India. But then we have also seen that how we have had the COVID innovation coming out in terms of a COVID vaccine. So I think that gives us some kind of a satisfaction that also in pharmaceutical or some kind of a biomedical, we will have some innovation coming out of it.
KWIN City should become a center of excellence for training doctors, nurses, and technicians. Because by 2030, there is going to be a shortage of 80 million health workers across the world. No country in the world has plans to add additional workforce. And India produces 26 million babies a year. We simply cannot create well-paying jobs for all of them. But there is one profession which can really give very, very good well-paying jobs. That is the medical profession, nursing profession. I will give you one example. We run a hospital in Cayman Island, very close to Miami. We have about 150 nurses working there from India. And these girls, every month, they send home 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh rupees. And these girls are only 25, 26-year-old. Tell me, is there a single profession in the country where a girl from rural India gets trained as a nurse in 3 to 4 years, sends home 1 to 1.5 lakh rupees every month? There is no such profession. And the world is desperate for well-trained nurses. And this is the country which can produce outstanding doctors, nurses, and technicians. I'll give you a brand of Indian doctors. There was a study published by Harvard Medical School which shown that Americans who are treated by expat doctors, mainly Indians, lived longer than the Americans who are treated by American doctors. So we have created a brand. And it's a time for us to encash on that. Because you see, the British doctors will never go to US. American doctor will never work in England. Indian doctor is happy to go anywhere and work. So this is a great opportunity. We can't let it go.
Can I add to that? Okay. So you asked the question, okay, how innovation system can evolve. So I don't specifically say about Queen City or anything. Culturally, first of all, okay, I'm talking very generic thing. Okay. First of all, culturally, parents have to play a role. It's okay to fail. Not a big deal. Okay? It's okay to fail. And one should come forward, I have successfully screwed up this company. I'm not talking illegal things, okay? It's okay to fail. Okay? That is the thing. Give the computer to a child. Just okay. Break it, everything. It's okay to break it, learn it, what is happening inside and all. First part. Second part, most of our teachers from primary to secondary, leaving some international and elite schools in this country, teachers got to be taught how to teach. Lot of teachers don't know. They only know how to teach A plus B whole square. What they were taught, they just pass it on. That any Google can do it. Now with Gen AI and all, no kid needs to go to school. Why do you go to school? To be challenged. What is the new material that one can invent, okay, that okay, which can actually, concrete can be eliminated. Come up with an idea. Hackathon. Entire cultural change got to happen. There are certain models in that. Singapore studied it, a Finland model. Singapore sent the ministers across the world to study primary school education. The ministers came back and gave a recommendation to Prime Minister. The best system is Finland system. In Finland, okay, primary school teachers, primary school students from 4th grade, 5th grade, okay, they're taught how to set up a company. You have a product, how do you set up, how do you market it? That's all my comments, okay?
Thank you.
Hello. So my question is to Devi Shetty, sir. So how does one should look at for the post-rehab, especially for the cardiovascular and the cardiorespiratory, for the post-rehab, especially as the startups? And how are the hospitals and the doctors going to support this?
Sorry, can you be closer to mic and repeat your question a bit loudly?
Yeah. How does the startups going to look for the post-rehab of the cardiorespiratory and the cardiovascular who has undergone the surgery, and how it helps the startups, and how does the hospital going to react to this? How is going to support to us?
Confusing for me. I'm not able to understand the. Yeah.
So how is the role of the startups?
You're saying what is the role of startups in cardiovascular surgeries?
Yeah, for the post-surgeries, for the rehab, where the startup should look at it.
Okay, so he's saying...
And how is the hospital gonna react to this?
Okay, so he's saying what is the role of startups in cardiovascular surgeries and post-surgery recovery? So in what part of value chain the startups have role to play, and how will hospitals and the healthcare system react to startups participating in it?
See, there is a great need for disrupting this industry. This healthcare industry has to be disrupted. And the disruption will happen not by the incumbents, it is by the startups. So there is no doubt about the need of a startup to disrupt this industry. Now, this industry, the startup must work with the incumbents like us. We are currently invested or supporting many startups trying to do their own things, and we support them either financially or providing them the access to patient data and things like that. But if this industry doesn't get disrupted, 80% of the world's population will not have access to healthcare. After spending $14-15 trillion, less than 20 to 30% of the world's population has access to affordable healthcare. 70-80% are deprived. Now, if today all the governments get together and say that everyone should have, at least half the world's population needs to have health care. That means we need $30 trillion with the current value, which doesn't exist. Now, are we going to allow people to die? No. Something has to be done. Cost of healthcare has to go down. And I am convinced that cost of healthcare will go down dramatically, provided startups disrupt this industry. So there is a great role in everything, including cardiovascular care, which is very expensive, especially when the patient goes home, managing the patient at home, lifestyle modifications and everything. There is a great role. So if there is any startup wants to do something, we would love to work with them. Sorry?
Insurance is not able to cover.
Yeah. See, the health insurance in India, unfortunately, has not lived up to the expectations. In health insurance, in healthcare, there are three important stakeholders. There is patient, and there is a hospital, and there is a insurance company and a patient. Hospitals do not trust the health insurance company. Health insurance company doesn't trust the hospital. And the patient doesn't trust both parties. And those two parties don't trust the patient. So essentially there are three important stakeholders in delivering healthcare who do not trust each other. As long as this equation remains like this, healthcare will not be disrupted. That is the reason why we decided to become a health insurance company. When a hospital becomes health insurance company, everything will change. The reason is, as I said, 16% of the heart surgery done in India is done by us. More people develop heart attack, it is better for my business. I have no incentive to prevent people from developing heart attack. The day I become a health insurance company, I will work very hard for people not to develop the heart attack, because that's the only way I will save money. Then my interest and the customer interest is aligned. Then the magic will happen.
Thanks to all the speakers and panelists there. I hail from Durbrabara, and I'm very curious to know about the KWIN City and what it would do to my villages. And mentioning the point, food industry is the number one industry, as Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty says.
Sorry, can you be closer to mic and be a bit loud? Thank you.
Food industry is the major industry, and there are no representatives in there. And I want to just know, how about coping the agriculture, because a large part of the land will be acquired for the KWIN City, and there are many farmers will be replaced by the white collars. Being a local, I'm also from the Durbrabara. So what would be the effect on that one, and how it will be useful the local people, the development of the KWIN City will be?
So if I understand your question correctly, you are saying that what role KWIN City will play for the local set of people, local livelihoods, right?
Yeah.
You want to take that, Mr.
I can
Rao?
answer that, okay. From our own example, I talk about it. Okay. First and foremost thing, okay, some of the things we are doing it in our airport city, okay. 282,000 people are employed as we are talking. Out of that majority, I can't tell exact what percentage, Namma Kannada, Namma Devanhalli people, first point. And then we have shown as an example that development happens at generally the notional development happens at the cost of destroying the nature. We have proven development happens without disturbing the nature. 2.36 is water positive. IASC verified that. And then, okay, our Terminal 2 is run on water that we actually save it from harvesting ponds and all. Entire T2 is run on that. Entire our campus is run on renewable energy. Okay? So that's one part of it without the nature thing and employment part of it. 5.2% of the state's gross value add we add on to that. Where does that money go to? Okay? For the employment and the community part of it. Okay? The jobs created. So we set up first of its kind 3D technology facility. First time ever outside Germany, Vauxhall Jet set up that. Okay? So we put a condition as part of the contract, okay? Local people to come and to be trained there, so that from ordinary, what a BSc physics guy probably might get 15,000 rupees salary, to once you learn this new technique, 3D technology, 50,000 rupees you can jump into it. Socio-economic impact. First of its kind, okay, technologically advanced SATS central kitchen, Singapore foreign direct investment, okay. We set it up, that one, okay. All the people, okay, chefs are trained into using the technological tools, okay. It's a huge, huge impact on that local community part of it. And their produce is being used here. Can you imagine that? The biryani that is made in our campus today goes to Qatar and Singapore, and they plan to send it to Japan and United States. Probably you can have in Boston, okay? And all done by locals. And that food, you can use it for 1 year. Can you imagine the impact? And then EV, okay, R&D hub, okay, we are setting it up, okay? Okay, there, okay, 20 PhDs work, okay, Namma engineers working out of it, they will be sent to Kyoto labs in Japan to be trained in the advanced technologies, electric vehicles, R&D and all. See the impact. Today we broke the ground for Air India Academy. Air India Academy, Air India will put a live aircraft inside that academy, live aircraft, okay? In that, okay, 10th class pass or fail, it does not matter whether you pass or fail. Whether you know English or not, doesn't matter. What you need is a bit sharpness. They come, put their hands, just a few minutes back I talked about dirtying your computer thing. Same thing, these kids are brought there and then they're trained on aircraft maintenance. 2 years actually training. After that 2 years, they get apprenticeship in our MROs, where actually aircrafts are maintained. After that, almost they get salaries at par with the BTECs. A 10th class kid getting BTEC salary, and their jobs are almost like employed. And Air India being, okay, Singapore has got 25+% shareholding in Air India, and there is likely to be, there is a possibility, we can't give guarantee, but some of these kids will go and work in Singapore. Suddenly, the 10th class kids start earning Singapore dollars. And that money goes to Devanahalli. And can you see the impact of that? And this is only a beginning. We are only starting academies of this scale. Hospitality. And he talked about cardiology shortage. Hotels simply don't have trained people today. And 5,000, he did the study. BCG did the study. We need 5,200 keys. That's a lot of number. We hardly got 370 keys today, and we are going to put, okay, 770 keys hotel, we are building it. Even after that 4,000 rooms we need to build. Where does the manpower come from? We need to train them. So that means hospitality academies we need to set up. All these are all social impacts. And with the money we earn here, certain percentage goes our social activities. We run many schools in Devanahalli, all for free, and these schools are at par with any of the international schools. And we train the teachers also. Thank you.
Thank you. In interest of time, we would like to wrap up the panel discussion. Some of the panelists will be available to take few more offline questions. So thank you to all the panelists for joining us. Thank you to all the audience for being there. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should give a big round of applause for all our dignitaries right here on stage. It was an incredible session and we feel so delighted. I would now request our moderator to kindly please hand over memento to all our speakers. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, now we conclude this session and we request everyone to be available for the next session that is going to start in a while now. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, requesting everyone to please take your seats and settle down. Our next session is Future of Care, Revolutionizing Healthcare Through Digital Innovation and Collaboration. We once again would like to thank everyone for their valuable presence, and we also request everyone to kindly please clear the stage for the next session, as the next session is about to start.
Requesting all the guests to please kindly get off stage. We need to set up for the next panel discussion. Requesting everyone to please get off stage. You can have your one-on-one meeting off stage, please. Thank you.
Sanchak. Kindly requesting everyone to please exit the stage as we have the next session starting. It's a humble request. All the discussions to be done off the stage. It's a humble request if you can please clear the stage.